Welcome to Reputation Revolution. This is the podcast where we help individuals like you to establish your voice in the marketplace, enhance the credibility of that voice, extend the reach of your story and your message, and finally, extract value from your efforts in building a meaningful personal brand that's both recognized and respected. Now, on with the show.
Revolution Show, episode number, which one is it? 247, coming up close to 250. I've got to come up with something special for that. I'm in the studio here with Brendan Keogh, my fortnightly partner in content marketing, personal branding crime. Brendan, how are you?
Folks, I'm wonderful. How are you all?
Excellent. Really looking forward to today's discussion. I have these chats, which then become podcast episodes, and then we're going live and we go on YouTube as well. I have these with Brendan so we can unpack and recap the previous episode, which in this case was 246 of the Reputation Revolution, available wherever you find your good and great podcasts, whichever app you use, and there are many, Brendan. And we unpack it and we go on tangents. No, we don't actually go on tangents. We riff and we go deeper and we try and bring in some practical strategies and tips that you can use as well. So last week, Brendan, or the last episode that was published on the podcast was with a Melbourne lawyer, a litigation expert called Alex Martin. And you want to give listeners and viewers just a little bit of an overview because it was great. It was great, and we'll say why it's great, but you tell us why you hopefully liked it.
No, absolutely. I did love it. And just firstly, full disclosure, I've done I'm working with Alex on producing his podcast, and so I'm obliged to say nice things about him. Not really, no. He's just a very likable guy who's knowledgeable. He's like that in business dealings, so there's a congruence with he's that personality. What you see is what you get.
Yep.
And that is a part of the episode. But the for me, obviously the T-shirt is scaling trust. This week's T-shirt.
Yes.
Because I thought that was a really lovely kind of summation of what personal branding is really all about. So it just his journey from, especially, this is kind of exemplified. A lot of small businesses try social media, it doesn't work. When you're a professional services and a lawyer, that's even more so because their standards are very high and they're very reluctant to do too much marketing and selling. His journey to reaching that point of going, I can't physically press any more flesh. This is not scalable. I need to get out in front of more people.
And get known and build that trust at scale and have strategic visibility. Now, it was a go-to-woe type episode. Now, again, in disclosure, I've been working with Alex on his personal brand and working with him this year, and it's been fantastic to watch his journey. And he just, in our interview, he holds nothing back. He goes through his journey, and the journey starts with he was barely doing anything, maybe the odd random post on LinkedIn a few years ago, did videos, got them nicely produced, didn't work, gave them up. And really, as a professional services business owner and a lawyer, he traditionally has been getting his business through, as you said, pressing the flesh and shaking a lot of hands and going to networking events, etc. And lunches and coffee meetings and that I got to tell you, that still works. That's still great, but you can only do so much of that, and you can't scale that one-to-one. But one-to-one is still very important. But in today, when particularly in as you said, when you're going to be a trusted partner of someone, and he's a litigation expert, so people need to trust him before they get him to sign on with him and get him in their corner. It's building trust, it's building that visibility, it's that likability, relatability. And so what we've done with, and he's done, Alex and his team have done the work, but it's put himself out there. Let's go with that technical term of putting yourself out there. and started with LinkedIn. So he's active on LinkedIn. He's doing videos. He's got a podcast, which you mentioned. A lawyer and a financial advisor walked into a bar, and that's got quite a few episodes now under the belt. And he's been on stacks and stacks of radio interviews, commercial radio, and he's also been on national broadcast TV and writing for business publications. So that's all happened within a year. So it can happen, but you've got to put your effort into it. So what were your key takeaways? Because Alex was very open and he walked people through his journey. Key takeaway.
Key takeaway was strategy.
Yep.
The importance of strategy. So as you'd said, Alex started out having a dabble, posting a few videos. I didn't get any calls from it, so that doesn't work. So it's very easy to dismiss it, especially if you're not really, don't have any kind of science behind it. But to his credit, he realised that no, I have to find a way to make this work, because I physically can't. I've reached my cap in terms of going to events, so I need to find a way. And he engaged an expert, i.e. yourself, to have put some thought behind it. Doesn't need to be reams of analysis, analysis by paralysis. It's paralysis, you know what I mean. But just enough to go. There's an analysis somewhere. I think you put it like to know who you are, what you're saying, and who you're saying it to is a nice kind of very simple way of putting it. So understand your audience, your target audience, who you're trying to reach, and you can work back from that of, well, what's the things I like? Where's the intersection between what I like to talk about and good at, and what's my audience interested in? So to have just to be creating content with that lens, you're already ahead of the game. The other thing that he talked about he said, I was out there going to events and networking and doing all the things that other lawyers do.
Yep. And
not many are doing this, or at least to this level. So automatically he's differentiating himself. Yes, it was risky, especially, we all have phobia of, putting our voice out there, probably more so for a lawyer who, really you're judged by your words, what you say. So, there must have been, some trepidation, but, to his credit, he did it. And he's one of the, 5% who actually are doing this. So just the differentiation is through the roof. And there's space. There's a gap in that market to do that, to make an impact. So, on a number of levels it really worked. But strategy, it starts with strategy.
It does.
Too many people have, this would be not only for professional services, but business owners all over the place have tried it. It didn't work. But this can apply to anything in life. The diet didn't work, or the exercise, the gym membership didn't work. That's no good. But no, you've got the wrong strategy. So armed with that, having that clarity, you can be much more strategic. You're making informed and logical decisions, and it's building. It's not just one-offs and, hey, why didn't the phone ring after one video? There's a plan behind it. You're working towards something. It's an acknowledgement that this is going to take a little bit of time, and you're happy to work through it.
Hey, it's Trevor, just breaking in here quickly to let you know about an exciting program I've just launched over at Credible Authority Academy. It's called Accelerator, and it's a comprehensive online course designed to help experts and business leaders like you to grow your visibility and influence in a way that's strategic, sustainable, and respectful. It starts on Monday, February the 13th, but an early bird discount and bonus training applies for action takers. Included in this promotion is a free upgrade to the Accelerator Plus membership. This is a 12-month program of learning, support, and accountability to help keep you motivated and on track. Like to know more? Jump on the credibleauthority.com website, scroll down just a little bit until you come to the Accelerator program, hit the link, and it's all there. Okay, on with the show. And what we're talking about here is the full gamut of communications. So we've got owned media, which, for example, your blog, your email list and email newsletter. You've got and he does that. Alex has got a business called Taurus Legal Management. So a lot of it is him personally, and then it's the business as well, the business brand. And, we've spoken on this podcast, business brand versus personal brand. We won't go into it here, but it's the start of, we discussed that on the first episode of this season number 6. And so we've got the own media and the podcast, for example, those media channels you own and control, which I think is very important. Then there's the social media, which is, in his case, LinkedIn, is the strong focus for obvious reasons. And the third one is earned media, of course, earned media, which is extending the reach of your voice, and that's going on other people's podcasts, writing for other blogs and online publications, getting interviewed on broadcast TV, and now he's becoming a really good special guest on a lot of different radio stations. One in Canberra, 2CC. I think he said he's done about 15 interviews with them as well. So you get better and better as you're doing this, and plus he's done his videos. So he's been recording videos on iPhone and putting them up on LinkedIn and that side of things, which then go onto YouTube. So it's all the things. I wish I had this one note. I kind of call it personal brand communications. Like it takes the whole gamut. And I think you can start in one and just stay there, but it does come down to your content. Doesn't matter whether it's owned, earned, or social. It's your content. So it really is. Content-led personal brand communications. That's it. I've come up with the phrase. I'll get that by the end of this this episode.
TM that. And not one thing. There's not one thing is the answer. It's all these little pieces fit together, and you can't just think I'm going to put up videos and that's it. No, they feed into other things. And as you said, it could be that the physical networking, that's still taking place, but someone's already kind of felt like they've met you. Yeah. So it fast tracks that. So it all just feeds in. You can't look at any one thing in isolation or think that's what worked or that didn't work. They're all feeding in. And one begets the other. Like he probably could have got the media, but it was certainly helped by having his body of work behind him. For the producers, it's an easy decision then to go, oh, that guy, he's good talent. He knows what he's on about. We'll book him. So you need that body of work beforehand, and it's easy might be easy for the viewers, the listeners, to be thinking, oh wow, he's on media. I'm not like that. But he was doing enough before that, and not everyone is suited to doing media work. He's just shown what the logical steps to get there, but you can still do a lot with a lot of the other elements that he's done. I like the simplicity of one social channel that he's focused on, LinkedIn. Really nail that. Now he's doing different formats. There's articles, there's videos, there's the podcast snippets, which are a really great way to give people a sense of even if they never watch an episode, listen to an episode, they're getting a sense. They get a sense of you doing it. You're a thought leader, you're a mover and shaker, and they get that snippet of what you like to work with. To have those elements, but one channel, I could see that would be appealing to a lot of people, so that in terms, especially as you're getting your groove in, following, liking, commenting, you got one sort of sphere to work within. But
there's also the second, the business Taurus Legal Management LinkedIn page as well. So they do everything cross-pollinates. Everything cross-pollinates. The thing is, and coming from a PR background, everyone's, probably in the older days, but they still do, and it's not kind of what I do. I work with people who do the media relations side of things, but people often say, oh, well, I just want to be in the media, but it's the best way to do it is to build your base first, build those foundations, which is what Alex had done. He'd started doing his own media stuff first, his social media, and then launched into the other. Albeit, it happened all pretty quickly, but he is embraced. That's the word I'm going to use, because he's embraced this. And any guest who we've had on this show who has done good things with social media contents, personal branding, building a thought leader brand, they've all embraced. If you don't embrace, forget it. Don't even bother.
I remember him saying in the interview, which was a really good interview, by the way, he'd looked at other people and thought, I couldn't do that. I couldn't get that exposure or do the work behind it. No, it looks too hard. But you know, when he was galvanized, knowing I need to do this so I can to scale this exposure and awareness, that you engage the right people to help you to do the things that you don't need to be involved in, or so you just free you up to focus on what you do best, creating the content, telling the story. So yeah, that I thought that was a powerful message too. That from afar it looks like, wow, it's too hard or too much effort, but you can make the time if you value increasing your sales funnel and building your network. You make the time just like you would for other networking events. But yeah, it looks daunting, but with the right people to help you, you can make it a lot easier than it seems.
And a plan. If once you got the plan, you know what you're doing. You sort of cut out the noise. And look, anything worth doing properly is going to take time. Does it take more time than it needs? Look, at times, when you're prepping for a radio interview, you've got to prep. You've got to be on top of things and issues and everything. And because his clients are mainly business, they're mainly business people who are running quite big businesses. He and accountants who are often referrers of business for him. When he's going into whether it's TV or radio, it has to be a lot more general and more mainstream. So he has to get across. There's always court cases in the news where there's a business or a reputation issue, and that's right in his wheelhouse. It's a matter of not going for everything. We knock stuff back, or he's knocked stuff back, and you've also got to cherry pick what's right and then go for it. Now, I will say there that the help that Alex gets, he uses a service called Media Stable, run by Nick Hayes, who's dominates in this area. He's basically is kind of I don't want to do him a disservice, but basically he works with experts and authorities in their space and helps them get media coverage through a variety of means. He's got a number of different tactics there to get the stories and the ideas and the angles in front of the right media. And so that's what Media Stable does. But Alex has still got to do the work in the background about delivering and understanding what the good hooks are and what's in his wheelhouse, and not trying to do too much and just be on the media or in the media for the hell of it, because that's not strategic. And you said at the start, it's all about the strategy. And strategy feels like a heavy word, but it's really just getting your house in order, giving yourself a direction, and that will help build your, the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, and then you can burst forth with a bit more enthusiasm.
I love it. I love a good burst forth. The other part that stood out was, Alex, who's very comes across really well on all of the platforms that he works on. But talking about his initial troubles with, video to camera, which, I think there wouldn't be many people who don't have a problem with that or challenge with it. Trying to, be natural but efficient, and he had a real trouble with that. And your advice to him was ship it. Just get it done, get it out. That's a common theme in our recaps, is that essence of just ship it. You've got to get it out. It won't be perfect ever. Get it out there. He talked about that, the things that he might agonize over a word here or there, his audience wouldn't know. It's about the message, and they get the gist of it. It's far more important to get it out there, get that be heard, rather than over-analyzing. So that was powerful. And of course, then the more practice you do on the videos, all of that, when you do get in front, when you do get that TV spot, you're much more adept and feeling more comfortable to handle that. So it again begets and supports other activities.
And given that Alex is a specialist at litigation, yes, he's got a commercial law firm and they do a lot of work with businesses in a commercial sense. But personally, his main area is litigation and litigation strategy, and he's an expert in that space. And so that's where he puts a lot of his focus on. But the thing with that type of business is, no, it's not seasonal. It comes up, and it comes up hard. And as Alex said in our chat, that people they're not going to, haven't got the time often if an issue comes up and they need to address it quickly. And it might be mediation. It's not necessarily always going to court. It's how do you solve these potential legal issues. And so what he's very cognizant of is that these can pop up at any time. But the fact is that businesses often will ask someone, can you refer? He might be referred by an accountant. He might be referred by another law firm that doesn't have this capability in-house. But they're not, the client is probably not going to go and, ring 5 or 6 lawyers and get a quote and meet them all. And so by him being A, visible, B, relatable, C, showing that he knows his stuff and being, sharing it out in the world and demonstrating, showing, not telling, showing that demonstrating that he's an authority in his space, that builds confidence and trust. And I don't think you can ever underestimate the power of trust, confidence in working with someone, and what these steps do that we can now do, but we couldn't do, 10, 15 years ago, is, make it really obvious to people that they either like you or they don't. They're either going to resonate with your story and your message or they're not.
And that's why we love podcasts, Trev, because, you're creating your own content, but you from that one act, you can then shoot off multiple other activities. And because lawyer and financial advisor walk into a bar is done via video, you've got the video side of things as well as the pure audio side. And so you can go out to your network or onto your website with that episode, but the snippets, having two snippets per episode, to share in the socials, they're just ways to maintain visibility without being too shouty or desperate or in someone's face. You're giving some interesting information. Video is great because you're seeing the talking faces, and often they'll be having a laugh, and so and they're very relaxed with it. So it just again supports. Well, what's this guy like to work with? Oh, pretty relaxed, pretty fun. Has a joke, but knows his stuff. So it just aids that visibility. So which is obviously being top of mind without being shouty or kind of another rant. It's just a nice way to break it up and give the whole gamut of his skills and mediums that people would the audience would like to consume the content by.
Yeah, and I'll just continue on with that podcast, which you help with and get it to help post-production and get it up. I know that they batch produce it. It's a long title. So a lawyer and a financial advisor walk into a bar, and Alex does that with Dave Murdoch, the wealth activist. And what I like about it is that it's just a bit more business. Yes, it's showing a little bit of Alex's legal nous and Dave's financial nous as well, but it's also about for running businesses, because legal issues and finance are so imperative to business. And these guys are both business owners. They both run businesses. They've both been in businesses for some time, and you learn things along the way. So I like that this podcast is, yes, it showcases that they know they're in their area of their specialisms. They're the full bottle in that, but really it's also shows that other side that they're business people and they run businesses. And what do business people who are clients want to deal with? They want to deal with people also who know how to understand business and know how to run a business. So again, it's showing, not telling. It's adding value. It's not shouty. It's just having a bit of fun, putting some interesting content out there, telling some good stories, some good yarns, and they're things that for the right audience, it's relevant.
It's not heavy, it's not flippant, but it's not heavy. It's not. And it's conversational, so it's in the language that you can imagine. Say Alex talking to clients, or this is how we. It's not over the top, but it's conveying. Well, there's certain things that, you need to abide by, right? So, but what I found interesting in your chat was the evolution of that. So you have your strategy, and here's all the topics we want to talk about for episodes, and here's our 30 that we've come up with. But then over time, that you learn, and particularly if you're bouncing off someone in an interview format, you can sort of find other avenues, and so they start talking about just your business in general. Why did you go into business? Should you, if you had your time again, would you go and work, take the paycheck instead of being a business owner? And talking philosophically about those kind of things. So they get very high, sort of overarching high level, and it's just real and something that a lot of business owners would have grappled with. And so it's definitely not just, it's about legal stuff and finance stuff. It's running a business. It's a lot of their examples, the warts and all, and of the ups and downs of running a business. So you can't get more in terms of relatability, and someone going, well, they understand me. They're a business owner, so they get that. And also they know their stuff, but they're not talking too technical. So I'm not going to look like an idiot talking to them. They're going to, convey what they need to, but in a way that I can grasp, I can understand what actions we're taking and move forward. So, again, just with all of this stuff, the more you can present it as, this is what I'm like to work with, you really start moving forward with your ideal audience, who then, when they do pick up the phone, it's like, let's do this. So, that's the real power of fast tracking that sales funnel.
Yeah, and there is a buyer's journey, and if you can speed that up, that makes commercial sense, of course. And if you don't have to pitch all the time for business, and you become the brand that people want, then that's the goal as well. And look, let's try and recap a bit of this now. So ultimately, and using Alex's story, as the foundation of this, but this is, I've seen this, many, many times with others, and the types of things that people are putting out. You've got to say, okay, if I'm going to put myself out there, that's a technical term. What did I say before? Content-driven personal brand communications, which is basically, building your professional personal brand in the marketplace. And if you run a business, that brand as well, that requires a bit of strategic planning. It doesn't need to be overcooked, but there are things that need to be done. Then you get that plan, that gives you that sense of purpose and direction, and you know what you're doing. Then you can start breaking it down for the channels, and then the content for the channels, and you understand your audience. So you know why you're doing what you're doing. It's not about doing it all at once, but being able to sustain it over a period of time, because it's the consistency. It's not the one hit burst. Now you might batch produce. Alex and Dave batch produce the podcast. I know that Alex batch produces the videos that he puts up on LinkedIn. So that's just a time saving way. They're just little sort of tactical shortcuts that I certainly recommend and do myself wherever possible. They are the important things, but you've got to embrace it. So it comes down to attitude, and Alex and others I've worked with. That's the thing that I really love watching their journey, is that they embrace. It's not a fight. It's embracing these tactics and these things, and you make them part of your day to day. You've got to find time for them, but you can do it smartly as well. And if you're going to push a bit harder, you might need some backup from a team. Virtual assistant, podcast, producer for yourself, doing the editing and getting all the back end right, all the things. But it should not be overwhelming once you have that plan.
Comes back to that plan, and you're talking to the right people. You're targeting your message. You're not trying to scattergun and please everyone. It keeps you focused. It also helps with that longer term view. It's a long game, and that's another common theme with your interviews. It's a long game. It's not just put a few up and where's my customers. This is repeatable, ongoing activities that with that plan, that benefit of that plan, you'll be able to have that longer term sense and follow it through and make it part of your everyday activities.
And if you're in an industry or a profession where people don't do that, they're less likely to, then you're putting yourself in a box seat. I mean, a lot of people in law don't do that. And a lot of other professions, when you look at, if you look at marketers tend to, as you'd expect, do it a lot more, and there's a lot more competition in that space. But if you went up against content marketing advisors, that's pretty busy, really busy space. But there's a lot of professions where people just won't do it for whatever reason. And if you go against the grain, then there can be some good results. You got to plan, you got to embrace, you got to actually ship it, and you will improve, as even Alex said. So, you look at his early videos versus his more later ones, you're always going to get better. You are, whether it's blog posts, your podcast, writing an email newsletter, doing a live stream, doing any video work, you will get better by doing it.
And if you meet Alex out somewhere and you Google him, you're going to be met with this wall of content of great stuff that showcases he's a thinker, he's doing things, he's out there, a thought leader. And what happens if you Google someone else, one of his competitors? Would they have that body of work behind them? That's so relatable, and instantly I can get a sense of what he's like to work with
before you make the phone call. So that is the key. Lots of great stuff there. I recommend people follow or check out Alex on LinkedIn, and you can follow him there because his content's really, really good. And also Taurus Legal Management, if you are in need of a commercial law firm, a good one who's kicking goals, as they say in the classics. I think, Brendan, do they? Kicking
apparently,
goals?
Apparently, that's in the Melbourne, the East
in the Melbourne vernacular. Not many goals being kicked in the World Cup, but that's all good. All right, mate. So this is episode 247 of the Reputation Revolution podcast coming at you. And we're heading down to, hopefully 250 will be special. We're just about to finish season number 7. And these recaps have been very popular, so we'll continue them on in the new year as long as negotiations with one Mr. Brendan Keogh go well.
He drives a hard bargain, so watch out, mate.
He does indeed. All right, until in a couple of weeks' time.
Wonderful. Thanks, viewers, listeners, and Trevor yourself.
See ya.
Bye.
The reputation economy is here. The world today needs more genuine, credible experts and leaders to stand up and share their experience, their wisdom, their stories, and ideas. Are you in? The reputation economy is here. The world today needs more genuine, credible experts and leaders to stand up and share their experience, their wisdom, their stories and ideas. Are you in?